the top 12 tips for married entrepreneurs? That's the question that I asked ChatGPT.
Oh,
And it was kind of fun to see the results. And we are going to talk about that here today in this episode. And just to kind of set this up also is that on the next episode, we'll give our top tips or the things that we've learned after 12 years of being full-time entrepreneurs. And then we'll have a little comparison there of what Chat thinks and what we think.
what our experience has been.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Versus Chat's experience.
Yeah. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to Gen 224 Marriage. I'm Sue, and this is Larry Pruitt, and we are looking forward to sharing. What episode is this?
Episode number 27.
Episode number 27 with you. All righty. So what was the first tip that ChatGPT gave you?
Yeah. So I think maybe to kind of look at the headline here of this. So it was the top 12 tips for running a business successfully with your spouse. And I'm sure that was the prompt that I put in there somehow, because I've heard other people do this on their various topics. And I thought, let's do that on our topic and see what it comes out with. And it gives the, kind of a little paragraph for each one of these, but this is on the heading still. And it just says, running a business with your spouse can be both exciting and challenging.
Mm-hmm. This is true. Okay.
True
it's right so far.
Right? Okay. Exciting, challenging. Yeah. And here are 12 key tips to help you succeed in both business and marriage. Okay. So that's the framework that we're going on here then. And so the first one of these tips is to define clear roles and responsibilities.
I would say that that's a key thing that we have worked hard to do. We didn't at first.
No, we didn't.
We kind of learned that one, that was the error side of our trial and error when we first got started running a business together.
Yeah. Which is honestly, that's going to weigh really heavily into our lessons that we've learned because, the reality is that you learn lessons more frequently through challenges, problems, mistakes, and otherwise. But yeah, so that it says to avoid confusion and conflict by setting clear roles based on strengths and expertise. That is exactly what we teach. Now, I should also say that the ChatGPT may be biased a little bit because we've used it quite a bit to run ideas and filter different things through there. And it's read our website.
Yeah.
It knows who we are. It knows, that's get kind of creepy with it now, but that's what AI does, right? And so a lot of these, it's probably kind of thinking as we would, what we want to see and what we want to hear.
Said, yeah.
But yeah, we definitely recommend that as a husband and wife, you sit down and think about what are your strengths, what are your areas of expertise, and then you make sure that person has that role and that responsibility in the business, and that is fully their responsibility then. So I don't know. This one gets a thumbs up for me. I think this is pretty good. So
I think so too.
All right. What's number 2?
Oh, you want me to want me to share some of these directly too?
Yes,
okay. All righty.
Sue is looking at this cold here pretty much. I mean,
I am. I just got the list. 3 minutes. How long? It's like 5 minutes ago.
That's how we like to roll. I get fully prepared. I just throw it right in front of her and just get natural reaction.
I just sit down and go. So thank you for that.
What are we talking about today?
So tip number 2 is to prioritize your marriage first. That definitely gets a thumbs up from me because we've said it so many times. It doesn't matter what happens with the business. The marriage cannot fail. It has to be number 1. And honestly, what we've found is that when we keep the marriage as priority, I think it feeds into the business having the better chance of success. I think sometimes married couples who work a business together, the business can drive them apart, or they think, well, if we can just make this thing succeed, then our marriage will be okay. They put the same kind of burden on the business as you might put on having a child sometimes. And the truth of the matter is whatever fissures are there are only going to be exposed and made wider by working business together.
Yeah. And so this is something else that we really take our students through is helping to make sure that the marriage is priority. And it is, you made the analogy of with children, and I think that's a really good point. because there's a tendency whenever you have children come into your home that the whole house surrounds them. And we are staring empty nesting right in the face.
Ooh, aren't we?
And
we just had a conversation today.
Yes. So
it might happen soon.
Our lone remaining child in the home is talking about moving out in a couple months, or we'll see.
We'll take it as it comes.
We'll deal with it. But the point is that we just know of so many couples who, whenever the kids move out, then the husband and wife look at each other and just say, like, who are you?
Yeah.
Because it's been everything has surrounded the kids, and then when the kids aren't there, that is confusing. And so we definitely, if anybody watching or listening, if you've got young children, you need to make sure you prioritize the marriage over the children. And I know that sounds maybe a little bit hard at times, but you do. The children are welcome additions, and they're a big part of the family, obviously. But you prioritize that marriage over children, and you prioritize the marriage over the business for sure.
Absolutely. So what's the third one?
All right. Communicate openly and regularly. All right. Set aside structured time for business discussions and separate time for personal check-ins.
Okay.
Now that
we don't quite we don't quite do that. We let it all roll together.
Yes.
But definitely we talk all the time about, like since the 80s, they've said, communication is the most important thing to a relationship. I think communication unlocks the most important thing, which is connection. But absolutely, you have to communicate, because if you don't, you either make bad assumptions about what the other person is thinking or what they mean. And you can't, it's very easy to start going off in your own directions and be pulling against each other instead of pulling with each other to make things succeed. Yeah,
for sure. And I suppose there could be times where we would advise some of our students to say, try to keep that separate if it's really difficult on the relationship to mix that. But I know for us, whenever the kids were young, and so we've just kind of had this all along, is, I think there was maybe once or twice that we tried to go out and said, okay, we're not going to talk about the kids. And then it was just really frustrating.
That was my whole day. I didn't have anything else to talk about that didn't involve home, children, school, all that kind of thing.
But then we just kind of said, like, hey, it doesn't bother me to talk about what's going on in the home. Does it bother you? No, it doesn't bother you.
Right.
Okay, everything's on the table.
Yes.
And our conversations will go here and there and everywhere. And that works for us. And so I would disagree with Chat on really keeping that totally separate. Boundaries are good, but but we can integrate them pretty good.
Absolutely.
All right, number 4.
Respect each other's decisions. So trusting your spouse's judgment in their area of responsibility. I think that's a good one. We've talked about it before, I think, on the podcast, about how in our e-commerce business, we each had different roles that we oversaw, or different areas of the business that we oversaw. And we weren't constantly checking in with each other, like, is this decision okay? Is that one okay? Right. We had areas where we had the authority to make a decision unilaterally, and we just trusted each other with that. And then other areas that we came together and made decisions together. Yeah. Or if it was a bigger decision, before making it unilaterally, we would check in and make sure, are you cool with this? And so.
Yeah, we didn't take out any loans without talking to the other person or anything like that. But I remember specifically when we were moving recently, moving our business back to our home, that there were some items that you were like, I don't know, should we keep this? Should we donate this, whatever? And I was just like, oh, I don't care, whatever you want to do, because that was Sue's area of responsibility, I guess. And then I think you came back to me a second time. I was like, I'm okay with this. You make that decision. I think you were afraid that I was going to get upset about something you had donated.
Right.
And I'm like,
because you made the decision to get it. That was your area. So I was like, am I stepping on your area if I make these decisions? So
5 years ago, bad purchase, And I'm like, no, seriously, I will take that thing to donate it in a second. So
absolutely.
So respect is super important.
All right. Number 5.
All right. Set boundaries between work and personal life. Okay. So I agree with that so far. And then it says, have designated no business times, like during meals, vacations, and family times. And so in general, I agree with that. But I would say, again, with us being more fully integrated than that, I would say that vacations, or I'd love to be able to step away from the business completely. We haven't been able to because of the nature of our
Right.
business in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But again, sometimes when you're relaxed
Mm-hmm.
and you've had a chance to get caught up on sleep and stuff like that,
Yes.
there's some really good discussions that we have been able to have
Mm-hmm.
in those type of scenarios. So I don't think I wouldn't put just a hard wall up there, but I would say in general, yeah, we're not going to talk about business all day
We
on
have one
vacations.
pretty, I will call it a firm wall about when we don't discuss business stuff,
Mhm.
and that's after 10 o'clock at night.
Mhm.
That, I mean, we've broken that rule a few times,
Yep.
but that's been kind of a rule that if it's after 10 o'clock, we just don't talk business because it gets us wound up. And I'll be waking up early in the morning and I need my sleep. So,
Yes. It's kind of funny because I think, and this is okay to have this, I think that's kind of a boundary for me. But like if you bring up something,
yeah,
I'm like, let's go because
yeah,
I'm the night
that's
owl.
true.
And so I don't really I may get wound up and I may not be able to sleep because being excited about some new idea or something. But yeah, that it's good to have those type of boundaries. The whole thing about meal times, that makes sense, especially if you've got young children.
Sure.
To say like around the table, we're going to talk about family stuff and getting to know our kids better and getting to see their hearts and things like that. So all that would make sense in different stages of life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. Number 6 then.
So align business goals with life goals. And
Okay.
that makes sense. You want to make sure that the goals that you set for your business are lined up with the goals that you have personally for your life and your marriage so that they don't battle each other.
Right.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because if those are battling, then it's going to lead at very best, it's going to be frustrating.
Absolutely.
And actually it's probably going to tear apart.
Right. Absolutely. And one of the things that this list mentions is don't just think about the financial aspect of decisions and goals. Think about what that goal would mean for family life, marriage life, that type of thing as well, because we have been in the position before of working to get the income, working to get the paycheck, whatever it is, and realizing, I'm not being everything I need to be to my family right now. And so we need to make sure that we don't let that happen.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Good point. All right. So then, so we're halfway through.
Halfway.
All right. So
number 7.
Number 7 then is to celebrate wins, both big and small. Acknowledge achievements together to stay motivated and enjoy the journey. So I think that's a really good one right there.
It is. And actually, this is one that I think we've been learning lately, especially as we make a pivot in our business, is that now the wins are so different.
Yes.
And they're a little bit harder to see. We kind of have to stop and look and go, oh, there's a win. We need to celebrate that,
Yeah, for sure. And so this kind of goes back to Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy's book, The Gap and the Gain.
Oh, yeah.
And just to keep comparing not comparing, but measuring your growth, measuring your advancements. And even at the end of the night, we will write down like 3 wins that we had during the day. And sometimes those wins are a really good conversation with one of our kids. Sometimes the win is that we signed on a new client, and then other times it's just like, hey, we got some really positive feedback from this.
Right.
So again, sometimes tangible, sometimes intangible. And so that kind of goes to the big and the small wins that Chat was encouraging us to do there. So,
well, and we name the podcast episode number that we're on almost every time. And I think that that's important because that's a mini win for us is, hey, we're getting another one done. That's an accomplishment. So,
well, and especially once we've heard that most podcasters stop at like episode 8 or something like that is kind of like the average number. And it's something like 90% of podcasters quit at that, but have quit by that point. So a lot of people started, did 1 or 2 episodes and went, this is work.
Yeah.
And it is work. But it is something so that's just an example of that is a win for us. And we may not see any money come in from
Right.
this, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So you
this is
can't measure
totally
it in,
serving thing.
can't measure it in dollar
Right.
amounts.
Mhm.
But anyway,
So it's a serving thing. So you win that too.
yes.
All right. Number 8, handle conflicts professionally.
Mhm.
Ooh, we need to put on our suit coats.
I was gonna say, I don't know what that means necessarily.
Well, we're going to have disagreements, most
Yes.
likely, because
Mhm.
we're not the same person. And so handling those professionally, and I think it really means like with respect. I think that when it says professionally, I'm going to
Is it?
change that word to with respect.
Okay, well, I don't think you can just change Chat's words. I'm kidding. Can you
I'm telling Chat with respect.
can you read the explanation sentence? Will that help?
The whole explanation, disagreements are natural, address them with respect. See, that's what I said. Focusing on solutions rather than blame.
See, I gave you a win there. I didn't even know that was there, but I gave you a win. I just naturally just set the table for you there.
Yeah. Yes. So
Okay.
I think that absolutely you have to talk through them. You have to do it assuming the best about the other person. You have to do it respectfully so that the other person stays open to the conversation.
Yes.
And of course, reciprocating that means both of you stay open to the conversation.
Right. Exactly. And I know we're going to have an episode one of these days where we talk about dealing with conflict and when to talk knee to knee and when to talk shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
And so knee to knee or eye to eye, maybe would be another way to say it. Just having the discussion with husband and wife together and addressing each other in that way. And then side by side is whenever there's a problem outside of the relationship.
Well,
and
now we don't have to do
no, we'll go into a lot more detail. And then addressing that issue together.
Yeah.
So I would not use the word professionally there because the connotation of that, like you said, we got to put on a suit coat.
Right.
And it almost sounds like you're an attorney or something.
Well, and it brings the relationship to a professional relationship. Yes. And there's an aspect to it that's a professional relationship. But when you're married to your business partner, it's not totally a professional relationship. So,
correct.
But it is respectful.
Right. I probably would use the word respect there instead.
That's what I said. Okay, what's number 9?
Number 9 is be financially transparent. So clear budgets, agree on spending, maintain open discussions about both personal and business. Yeah, I think we'd 100% agree with that one. This is kind of interesting how we handle it because we both are good with numbers. We're both good with money. And so like you handle the personal budget. Yeah. And I handle the business budget, business finances.
Spreadsheets make my eyes go blurry.
And so, just like as an example, though, there's times where if there's a bill for us personally that is like $57, just to pick out a random number, I'm just like, oh, not too bad because business wise, that is a small purchase. Yeah. But then whenever I realize that's a personal thing, I'm like, $57, what are we spending that on? So I think it has helped us to each have a responsibility in the different areas. Yeah. And
but also be talking about it and be transparent about it. Like even though you handle the money in the business, you keep me informed about where the business is financially. And I'm so appreciative because you just give me the bottom line, which I really like because I'm a bottom line person. Like I said, I don't want to see the whole spreadsheet and get all the details. Just tell me, where are we at? Okay, we're good. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah. Sorry.
So we shouldn't do this right after lunch.
No. But I learned that lesson the hard way because, when I start at the top and start working my way down, her eyes are glazing over and there's tears coming out.
My stress level goes up. I'm just like, what does this mean? What does this mean?
Is this good for me?
Yeah.
The line on an old show that we heard one time. But anyway, so we have to learn each other's personalities and how we're doing that as well. But I think that the key word there is transparent. We do know of a couple where the wife had her own, without her husband knowing it, she opened up a separate bank account, a separate credit card and everything, and ran up like thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt. And when she had to come clean on that, that was a really rough moment for them. But the beauty is that not only did they work through that, but then they worked on paying that debt off. And now they are like they're teaching financial principles to couples all the time. And so God can use those type of things for sure. But being financially transparent, just avoid those problems, those conflicts. Just talk about it. And there's that would be a whole nother episode probably.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest conflicts that divorce attorneys see is financial. And so I think that, that's something that you need to stay on top of for your relationship as well as your business.
Yeah. I was going to say, when you run a business together, then that just doubles the financial responsibility because there's two entities there. So more opportunities for conflict. So got to watch out.
All right. Number 10, we're almost done.
Yes.
Is to keep growing and learning together. And I think that is super important. It's something that we have really adopted. I mean, we are constantly seeking coaching, and sometimes that can be in the form. So learn and grow in many different ways. Sometimes that can be through reading a great book like The Gap and the Gain or 10X is easier than 2X, those types of things. It can be actually getting coaching for you in your business and learning how to take it to the next level and that kind of thing. I think all of that is super important. And when you're working the business together and you grow and learn together, that is, well, for one thing, it's another way to deepen your connection, but it's also a way to just keep advancing not only your business, but your relationship. It gets better and better the more that you grow and learn together. You go through these transformations together, and that's a very, very neat thing.
Yeah, it really is. And I would say anytime that one of us is doing any sort of learning and like we're doing that alone, it's like we can't wait to get back together and to share what we've learned during that time. And so even if you are taking some sort of training or education on your own, again, depending on exactly what that is, but come back together, discuss it, and that way you can both learn it at the same time in effect. But before we did this, we were on a call with a coach, and I don't know how old this gentleman is. I'd say he's at least 60s, maybe even 70s.
I don't know for sure, but you're probably right.
And he's up on main stages around the world, really, with his teaching and education. And he was just saying that he is always being coached by somebody. And he was mentioning a name of somebody that he wants to hire to be his next coach. And it was just like, wow, that is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
And encouraging.
And I think it's important not only for your professional life together, for your business, I think it's important to do that for your marriage as well. I mean, we've done that too. We've gone on retreats and we've read books and we've, all the things we keep investing in our marriage as well. So I think it's important to invest in both. And oftentimes a coaching program is going to address one or the other. It doesn't have to be a program. Like I said, it can be a book, it can be an experience, it can be a retreat, but make sure that you're feeding both your business and your marriage.
Yeah.
All right.
Very good.
Number 11.
Give each other space when needed. Okay. I would say when needed. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think either one of us needs a lot of space.
Probably not. Like the thing that came to my mind with that is I remember at some point during raising our kids, I started asking for Mother's Day. What I wanted as a gift was one night in a hotel room by myself. And it was just one, it was not even 24 hours that I just wasn't responsible for somebody else. I could just eat when I was hungry, sleep when I was tired, watch a good movie uninterrupted, read a good book uninterrupted for one day. And that was enough to recharge me. Yeah. I love our children. I'm really excited that we have our family. I loved being a mom, but that recharging is super important.
Yeah.
And I rarely feel like I need a break from you, but alone time can be really important to just reset myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are together just a lot. I mean, most days, all days. But then there's times of, just going for a short walk or, So I do think, I think the point that ChatGPT is making on here is to be sensitive towards your spouse. Some people need more alone time than others. Some people just would want to be around people all the time. And then other people are just, they need a little space every once in a while. And seriously, a short amount of time can be really beneficial. So being sensitive of that, aware of that, and making sure that that happens is absolutely honoring your spouse. So I think that's a good one.
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
All right. And the last
Drum
one,
roll, please.
I don't know if this is like the top one necessarily, but
It's the last one that they listed. Have fun and enjoy the journey, which I think is super important.
yeah.
I think having fun doing what you're doing together.
Mm.
I think having fun. So I'm gonna change the terminology just a little bit.
Okay.
I think part of that is enjoying the fruit of the work that you're doing in your entrepreneurial journey.
Okay.
So being able to enjoy, whether it's a little thing like, hey, we can, take this afternoon and go to the zoo with the kids.
Yeah.
Because we have that freedom, or it's a big thing. We can go on a vacation together or
Yeah.
anything in between. I think taking note and recognizing what are the benefits and the fruits that we're seeing from being in business together,
Yeah.
and really just enjoy those things. One of the things for us is that because we are in business together, is we get the opportunity to go on stage together, just like we did a few weekends ago. We talked about that before, but I think that is something that is really a lot of fun. We enjoy that, and it's rewarding to us. And taking note of that, those moments of reaping that fruit, I think is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that kind of summarizes things pretty well here. Overall, I would say that the list is pretty good.
It's decent. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I would give it a good solid B plus, I think.
Yeah.
Would you give it that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Now, next time we'll get the A plus version because it's what we came up with.
I don't know if we should grade our own work, but yeah. Okay.
I'm fine with grading our own work. If you want to, I was going to have people drop a comment or something about that. I don't know. But actually, one way that you can grade us is by liking and subscribing or following this, whatever platform you're watching this or listening to this on. That will really help us, actually. And it's something that I don't think we ask for enough.
No.
But if you do want to give us a grade of at least a C plus or higher.
Ooh.
Okay, maybe we should go straight for the 5 stars.
I think we go for the 5 stars. Yeah.
Yes, if you can give us a 5-star rating, that would really, really help, because I think the algorithms then
absolutely
promote our efforts, our podcasts, and everything a little bit better. So
we can serve more people that way.
So, all right. Well, I know that you're just really anxious for the next episode, and that'll be coming out in just a few days. So be looking for that. And then we'll talk about our top 12, really the lessons that we've learned after 12 years of being full-time entrepreneurs. So look forward to talking to all of you again then. Until then, continue to live as one flesh today,
tomorrow, forever.
Take care.
See ya.